The Quran is very clear that when you have discussions with people and you don't like the discussion, you turn around and you walk away. That's exactly what I've done. Let me tell you exactly what has happened. Let me tell you exactly what's happened. They're trying to use particular tones in order to get me upset so they can put this online so it can fit the narrative that they have. So listen to this now. Anybody who is a black man, who can speak clear English, they say that you're an Uncle Tom because they have a view of black people that I'm supposed to be saying, I'm supposed to say in it, I'm supposed to say yeah bruv, and so on and so forth. So they don't understand that black people are not mono in how they think, yeah, or in how they feel. So what they do is they come down with their low education. So what they do, they throw assertions all the time. It doesn't matter that they know that it's not true. They know that it's not true, but they are frightened. Yeah, they're frightened. And listen to the stereotypes of them. Does anybody else see it? You see it?
Why don't we have a discussion?
You see the stereotype? No, 1 minute please sir, 1 minute. Now, let me give you an example. I'm going to give you an example and show you now why they are fearful. I'm going to show you now why they are fearful. And let's just turn it around. Let's turn it around in a different way. Let's turn it around. I want everybody just to follow my logic. For example, if you look at this man now, just 1 minute, I'm just giving you an example to show what hypocrisy is and how they're only prepared to accept one definition of black people. It's the definition that makes them happy. You understand? So, if you look at this guy, for example, I think this guy's name's Hamza. Now, just hear me a second. When Hamza speaks online, when I've listened to his videos, let me tell you some of the things that people say. They say he speaks very good English. Give me a second. They say that Hamza speaks very good English. Yeah, and you know, these guys are using terms like ran away. Do I look as if I'm going to run from anybody?
No.
Thank you, brother.
I know you,
yeah?
brother. You don't
Thank you, brother. Thank you. Never. Not in the, yes, thank you, brother. But we don't even want that. We don't even want that. We want to use the way of argument. We're not into the fighting thing. But listen to me a second. If you look at this guy, for example, this guy's name is Hamza. When I watch Hamza online, Hamza speaks almost perfect Oxford English. You understand? No, I'm just telling you from my perception.
You speak much better than you.
No. But I'm saying, no, but hold a minute. You said that, if I remember right, if I'm wrong, interrupt me, you said that you're from Bangladesh. Now, a Bangladeshi comes to the park, yeah, a Bangladeshi comes to the park. Isn't that funny? That I'm here speaking. This is what I'm saying to you. Look how big the park is. Look how big the park is. Right, now, I don't want to discuss it. No. Hear what I'm saying to you. The point that I'm making, let me just make my point so you understand what I'm saying. No, let me just make my point so you understand what I'm saying. So when you come down, you have your belief and you speak in a clear, you speak in a clear, concise manner. In all the times that I've listened to you, I've never heard foul language, I've never heard barracking, I've never seen the racism, do you understand, that I've seen in some of these men, do you understand? Now remember this, very clearly. Would somebody say that you're a Bangladeshi, and as a Bangladeshi, you shouldn't speak in the way in which you speak? And if they said that, what would you imagine those people to be?
Yeah, sure. Could I answer?
I'm just like, it's a question.
Yeah, I think it's wrong. Anyone who had done so, I condemn them. I advise them
Why?
not to. Once again, I advise them not to do this wrong. There is a discussion in academia. There is that discussion. You know,
about what?
About for example, AAVE, African American Vernacular English.
Yep.
Yeah? Are you aware about this?
Yes.
The discussion.
Yes.
That they say.
I'm waiting for the text message, bro. You never give me the 26.
I'm going to speak to you in a minute. I need to speak to you privately in a minute.
All right,
yeah?
cool, yeah.
Okay.
I understand. I understand this not. academic setting. And those guys
this is not what we're talking about.
No, hear me
yeah,
one second. Those guys that say you're speaking white, is that what we're talking about? Yeah?
Hold a second. Not only that I'm speaking white, yeah, but listen to the real racist. I am an Uncle Tom because I try to... Hear me a second. Because I speak, in a public arena and I'm speaking in a clear, concise manner. Then he says, I turn into a yardie. Let me explain this. If I am... Hold on a minute. Do you speak Bangladeshi?
No, not really.
A little bit.
I'm really bad.
I know. But generally speaking, if you're at home and you're a family, do you speak Bangladeshi? Sometimes.
But let's pretend we do.
Yeah, sometimes. If I'm at home and I have family from Jamaica, it is quite clear that I'm not going to speak to them the way in which I speak in a public forum. We all understand that. Yet, these racists, real racists, will come up and they will say, you as a black man are an Uncle Tom, and listen to his reasons why. Because you speak like a white man. That is the epitome of racism, because he has a stereotype, a negative stereotype about how he expects black people to be. And then he has the cheek to say, he's blacker than me. His backside might be blacker than me. You understand? But he is not. It's an insult. That's like saying to me, I know what oppression is. You understand? And so I know more than Jewish people who have perished in the Holocaust. It would be an insulting statement to make. On top of that, do you know sometimes people can come to you with a question, but because they already have the answer in their head, it's the premise and conclusion argument, whereby you start off with a premise, but the conclusion is wrapped up in the premise. So whatever they ask, it becomes roundabout all the time. So the guy said to me last week, you believe in black supremacy. I said to him, are you speaking to the right person? This is what I said to him. So this thing to him. You believe, because he's never spoken to me. But what it is, they see me as a strong black alpha male. So their job is to be a nigger day. The problem is, if they try to do that, then I will introduce them to the Jamaican side of myself. You understand? Which I don't want to do, because I am here to speak in a clear, concise manner to people who want to hear it. Remember, he said to me last week, you are a black supremacist. You can't be speaking to me. I don't believe in supremacy of any race. You understand? The supremacy that I believe in, and there is a supremacy that I believe in the supremacy, of a cogent argument. I believe in the supremacy of intelligence and the supremacy of decency. So when somebody asks you that type of question, Hamza, and then they get an answer which they can't have, they think, well, you're a bully. So hold on, I'm big, I'm black, I'm dark skinned with a lot of bass on my voice. Let's see what kind of title I can ascribe to fit into a narrative that makes me feel better about myself. And this is why I say to you, this is the reason why I say to you that the problem, for me anyway, where Islam is concerned, if you look at Islam, and I've looked at Islam over a long period, for me, I told you, when I come down here, if I'm going to listen to somebody from an Islamic background to speak, I want to listen to the best of speakers. I want to listen to the most cogent of speakers. I want to listen to the ones who give the best arguments. Shukran, that's very kind of you, thank you. Who give the best arguments, because I made clear that Islam is not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. And so on the basis that Islam is not going anywhere, those Muslims who are more erudite, who are more intelligent, who are more cogent in their argument, should wish to push forward those who can articulate that argument without using the bully boy tactics of some of these quasi-terrorists who are down here. No, let me be very clear. All Muslims are not, no, Hamza, let me just qualify that. All Muslims are not terrorists. Anyone who says that is an idiot. Do you understand? But there are brothers down here who use terroristic attitudes and behavior in order to cajole people or argue with people to believe in what they believe. I don't believe in what you believe, but I believe that you have a right to believe in what you believe. You've never ever heard me say that Muhammad alayhi salam is XYZ, because that is not how I debate. But there is and I promise this is my last part, Hamza, there is a deliberate, concerted effort in Hyde Park to take on dark-skinned black men, because these people are not happy with dark-skinned black men unless we follow what you say, unless we use the words that you want us to use, unless we wear the names that you have, unless we take our culture away and adopt your culture. Well, I don't want your name, I don't want your culture, I don't want your language, but I accept that you have a right to your name, to your culture and your language. How dare you then tell me that I'm a kuffar or I'm a disbeliever because I disbelieve what you say, when the Prophet alayhi salam, when he brought Islam into the world, remember, he was described as a kuffar, he was described as a disbeliever, because there were religions in the world that existed at the time. There is a two-facedness and there is a hypocrisy, and I would hope that the erudite, clever, intelligent Muslim speakers come back to Hyde Park. Do you understand? Shabir is meant to come back to Hyde Park. Do you understand? Yeah, I'm telling you, Shabir is meant to come back to Hyde Park, do you understand, and be that intellectual force. Even though I had a problem with some of the stuff that Muhammad Hijab said, yeah, and I thought that Muhammad Hijab lowered himself to the behavior of some of these little man them down here who want to talk wicked because, oh, I grew up with black people. That makes no difference to me. You understand? Somebody like Muhammad Hijab should be the intellectual voice of Hyde Park. Yeah, because he's erudite, he is, no matter, some of the stuff that he's done, yeah, I think he hasn't been clever, but he's erudite, he's clever, he's intelligent, he is witty. Do you understand? And those voices of the Muhammad Hijabs, of the people like of Shabir Yusuf, should be the voice. That is not the voice at the Hyde Park. The ones who echo loudly are those who want to go around wanting to threaten people and terrorize people. But the problem is, you then come up with a brother like me who doesn't back down to you. So what's then going to happen? What happened today with these guys pointing their fingers? Why do you think they did it? Because I'd already been told what the plan was. Go up there and say this, make him respond, because we're going to be filming him, you understand, so we can say he's XYZ. We know because we live it. We've seen the racism in some of these people who say that they follow the sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We've seen it. Yeah, this is not a joke, this is real life, and I am not backing down to these people. To you your way, and to me my way. That's what I have to say, Hamza.
Okay, can I shake your hand? What should I refer you to?
Just big bro, just bro.
Big bro. Okay. Big bro has grievances, and he feels
grievances.
You want to hear me?
Yeah,
he feels in a particular way. If he feels like this, then it is true. What he is saying is true. If people are speaking in a particular way that big bro, I don't think my words are loaded. Don't think
no sir, you say I'm not going to make any judgments.
Yeah, if you look at the comments online, and this is the worst one, but it is not a one-sided story, big bro. If we're honest in this, it's not a one story. 2 weeks ago, I was an effing Arab, according to the comments from a particular community. Now, a week later, when I clarified I was Bengali, I became an effing Bengali. You know? No, 1 second. Now, I deplored the people when they had done that to you, and I think everyone generally deplores this. No one agrees with racism in Islam. Yeah? And I apologize.
Why you look like Muhammad?
Big bro, take it. I apologize. Hear me. From my heart, for those people that disrespected you, big bro. Honestly, I apologize. You should not have to feel like that. But also realize that it happens on our aspect as well. Now you can argue about the definition of racism if there's an element of power or so on and so forth. But the reality is discrimination. No one can get out of that. For example, there's some language that I don't fully agree that you should have used because there's
like
connotation.
What? Can you tell me?
Yeah, sure. When you say terroristic, though you meant it in a particular way, in the heads of everyone it's been attached to our identity.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I think we could have been more kind of edified in our language. And I'm sure, you know, the way Big Bro speaks, the courtesy and the ability for him to allow the other person to speak is amazing. It's a scarcity that you find in Hyde Park Corner. And I think this is what we should be looking for. Instead instead of us looking towards youth, including myself, we need to hear seniority. We need to hear the elders speaking and advising us. We have so many problems. We don't know how to be men. We don't know how to be, for example, family. We don't know how to be husbands. We don't know how to be fathers. Our families are not extended, they're barely nuclear. And which area is it you're from? I was from Brixton. Yeah, we lived in an area which was dependent upon welfare, which pushed the male out of the house. Our houses were broken. I don't speak of myself, alhamdulillah, I was fortunate. But when you don't have a role model, a male role model, you're very susceptible to crime. And this is what we should be addressing. Every single one of us has a certain level of intelligence. Yes, our language at times may be low because of socio-economical background. And we need to kind of clean that, and I applaud you for that. Anyone who says that you're speaking in a particular way, this and that, they're wrong for doing this, big bro. But just one topic.
Yes, sir.
I have to go. Yeah. But I enjoyed listening to you.
Thank you very much. Very kind of you.
You too. It was about a pleasure.
Are you going?
I have to go. Because I have their wife and children, and they still love me.
She's keeping you grounded.
That's very kind of you.
What you said was good.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Listen, all of us are equal.
Yes, I believe
The minute
that.
you think we're not equal, that's when the problem comes. And whoever brings in that we're not equal, he's the racist.
Thank you.
With me.
Yes.
God bless you all.
You too, brother. Thank you.
Paddy, may I kindly do? I think, yeah, as someone who's elder, someone who is more senior, we don't need to go down to these low levels. I'm not someone who's senior. I believe you who have prowess in your speech and that can command all of the youth, that you need to be focusing on ourselves. Look at, we need to overlook these kind of, you know, the barking of the dogs don't affect the clouds. You know this. We need to make these youth magnanimous. We need to get rid of their obstacles. We need to teach them how to be men, to get jobs, to get education.
Can I just say to you,
sure.
very quickly, two things. Firstly, no, I'm good. I've got something in my mouth here. Let me just say to you, and I'm very clear about this. If somebody is referring to you, yeah, as an effing Arab or an effing Bangladeshi, you know, let's not be hypocritical. That language in an intelligent society can never ever be accepted. Let's be very clear about that. Unfortunately though, we don't live in an intelligent society. Yeah, we live in a society whereby those who shout loudest and believe that they have the right because they feel they have the numbers, or they feel that they can, you know, use a street vernacular, that they can bad you up, they want to make their point, yeah, and believe that their point is right. The reason they do that is because nobody checks their behavior. Whilst I understand the points that you're making, Hamza, and I have a great deal of respect for you, I genuinely do. You understand? I don't have to say it to blow smoke up your ass. I have a genuine respect for how you argue. Sometimes though, we can become subject to whims because we're human beings. For example, I didn't used to like Ali Dawa because some of the stuff that he said. I debated Ali, no we didn't, we had a discussion last week and I left the park embarrassed. Yeah, I'm telling you, I left the park after speaking to Ali Dawa embarrassed. And you know the reason why? He completely disarmed me. Do you know why? He was kind, he was erudite, he explained himself in a clear, concise manner, he had his faith and he had his belief. And I wanted to bring the discussion down a different path to who I thought he was, but that wasn't who he was. And so I exposed myself and made myself look like an idiot. And then I said to him, because I said that I watched this video on getting married and losing his mother and stuff, and the more I watched, the more embarrassed I became. Because sometimes we can point our fingers at others and not ascribe humanity to them. And so I apologized to Ali Dawa, even though I still stuck to my point. On a personal level, I apologized to him because I believe that the position that I'd taken with him was a wrong one, because I looked past his humanity, I looked past his faith. But let me tell you what I didn't do. At no time did I racially abuse Ali Dawa. At no time did I abuse the Prophet ﷺ, who he believes in. I've made very clear that on the basis that Islam is not disappearing. If I speak about Islam, I will be, and you know, this is what I always say when I speak to Muslims, any questions that I have about Islam comes directly from the Quran, yeah, or from the Sunnah, yeah. This is what I say. I don't give my words and say that, oh well, I think X, Y, Z. That's not what I say. I say the Quran says X, Y, Z. How can that be justified? And I believe that is a legitimate question, because I think that some of the noise that you hear from these little man them, you understand, who believe that somehow anybody is frightened of them, what you hear from them is this. They are not clever people. You know, the guy come up to me last week and said, you said Muslims are backwards. Yeah, that's what he said. I said, most of you down here are backwards. What, because you think you're standing up with a gang of man them, I'm going to back down? That's not me. Yeah, they are backwards, but they're backwards according to their lack of knowledge and their very open use of terror tactics to people who do not agree with them. Whilst I accept the words that you say, seriously, Hamza, I am not your problem. The problem for Islam, I don't have to destroy Islam. That is not my job. These guys, some of these guys down here, do a fantastic job of bringing Islam into disrepute without me saying a word. And for me, whilst I accept that you are genuine, and as I said, I've made clear that the majority, a lot of the Muslims that I've spoken down here, and you know what I dislike as well before I go any further? There's a gang of the Muslims down here who have my number. And there's a gang of them who call me every week. And then I will say, like last week, can somebody back me up? And I see like 5 or 6 of them who've got my number. So can somebody back me up what I said? And they go like this.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in?
I'm just saying to you, you need to speak to speak to those guys, but there is nothing wrong. There is nothing wrong in asking very real questions about Islam. Some people say, why don't you ask questions about Christianity? But I do. Yeah. I do, but nobody wants to hear that. But they just don't.
One second, sorry, just to cut you off. That's very
go ahead, Hamza. Sorry, brother.
I hope it's just that I want to get something in.
Yes, sir.
Sometimes, and I don't know if you mean it, is there's a great deal of focus on the Muslims. That Muslims are backwards. Not that people generally are backwards.
Yeah.
Muslims are backwards. This is what your focus seems to be. You're fully aware that many people in this part
I just explained it to you though, Hamza.
One second.
I just explained it to you, the context.
Yeah, let me just expand it. It's just that what I'm saying, and you can expand. I'll give you the chance to expand. Because what is, I heard something.
Go ahead, Hamza, go ahead.
Is that sometimes we're pointing fingers ever so often at Muslims, and it's easy to do so in the context that we live in now, because slating Islam has become very easy, and in the media it gets slated day in, day out. I was speaking to the brother Ian from Brixton, the elder brother from here, and he was explaining after 9/11 there was an ease off of the black community. There was an ease off of the black community. We know what he meant by that, don't we? Is that the focus that was previously on the black community got shifted onto the Muslim community, and then everyone felt comfortable with the Muslims bearing the burden.
So what happens to my brother who is black and Muslim? What happens to my brother who's black and Muslim?
He's doubly done. He's doubly done over. There's no doubt. There's no doubt over. Now, what my brother, big bro or big brother?
Just big bro.
Big bro. He has real, genuine grievances that we need to deal with. Not just Muslims. Every single one of us, from every single shade, all of us are guilty. Because why? Because we've had these stereotypes mediated into us. Van Dijk, he talks about this. You have speakers like Tim Wise who highlight privilege, and all of us have privilege. It's not just white folk that have privilege. Every single one of us do. At the moment, Muslims are being slated, and when we start using terminologies which were usually associated, like you may not mean it meant to, but when you say Salafist and jihadist and this and that,
it was very deliberate.
It was very deliberate. It etches in the brains of someone an idea, and this is not the idea. Muslims may be very impassioned in speakers' corner often, some of the people, near and physical.
Impassionate or passionate?
Passionate.
Okay.
And there are some people who are not Muslim. I don't want to mention their names. It's the same faces, and if we have to be honest with ourselves, big bro.
We can mention the names.
No, I don't mention names.
Well, we're speaking truthfully.
You will realize in none of my videos I don't point fingers, yeah? And this is just my style. It's the same reoccurring faces. In fact, let me make a challenge.
Am I one of them?
No. You are a very blessed person in that sense.
Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Sure, 1 second. Let me just make. I think we should challenge ourselves as a community to be able to speak ethically to each other, including those who are online. Let's see how many people will write negative comments in the comment section, and maybe perhaps we need to, as a community, push out bullying. So I will condemn the brothers who are speaking an impolite, vulgar kind of way to any persons, whatever their persuasion, whatever their background. But I need you as an elder to also help me to push this nonsense out.
Do you know last week when I pointed out, I said, in regards to, you might not call names, but I call names. As long as I know that I'm speaking the truth, I don't have a problem with that. In regards to Sarah, I said that, do you not believe, this is what I posed to Ali Dawa, where's Dawa Media then? They all went. I wanted them to just back up what I was saying. I said, do you not believe that if certain words are used that are offensive, that we wouldn't take our brother aside and speak to him? This is what we said. One brother, one Muslim brother, no, we don't believe that. We don't believe that. Proving that it doesn't matter what you say to some Muslims, they will not accept it. Because you see, one of the great things is, I know many people say there is no racism in Islam, and that, let's just say for an argument's sake, I take that up. And I say, I accept that. I accept that then there's no racism in Islam. There seems to be a great deal of racism amongst Muslims.
Yes,
you understand what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
There seems to be a great deal of racism amongst Muslims. Bearing in mind that if I speak to a Muslim and a Muslim is racist and he describes himself as a Muslim, it then follows that I can say that that particular Muslim is racist. Do you understand? That doesn't then become an attack on his Islamic ideology. He described himself as Muslim, not me. He made the racist comments, not me. If he makes a racist comment and he say he's a Muslim, yeah, for me, he's a racist who is Muslim. Do you understand? That is logic as far as I'm concerned. You also said to me that I've used particular terms like Salafist and terrorists and terrorist behavior. Many times you speak to Muslims, they say to you, we need to look at the dictionary definition of what particular words are. So recently, because it seems as if many people speak with a unified voice, they say, for example, that there are people who slander the Prophet. Well, I'm one of those lucky ones, yeah, who was able to study law. And I understand what defamation, what slander is. Slander is simply the defamation of a character. But it doesn't become defamation yet once you break it down and you ask whether or not the statements are factual. Because you see, if it becomes factual, it's not defamation. It's just that you don't like what's being said. You understand? Which is what's happening at the moment. So when I use the terms, the way in which I use the terms to make a point to those particular people. Because you see, when I speak about terroristic behavior, it was deliberate that I used that term. The same way in which they use the term that, look how he, big bro, speaks like a white man. Like a white man. If you know anything about black people, that's one of the most offensive terms that you can say, because there is then an acceptance in your mind that you believe that when black people speak, we should be speaking as if we've come out of the latest trap video. You understand? Where most of these people speak as if they've just come out of slavery. You understand? Which I don't understand. When, for example, I'm in America, you can see an Asian family that in the first generation cannot speak clear English. The second generation, they speak perfect English. And you ask yourself, just one moment, you ask yourself, why is that? Because they have an appreciation for the language. Many of these so-called Muslims, yeah, just hear me one point, many of these so-called Muslims who can make the statement that you speak like a white man are the same Muslims that will be offended to see a black lawyer, a black businessman, you understand, a black solicitor, you understand, a black anything. And the reason why, because the caricature and the narrative that they've created in their mind, you've strayed
away. Muslims or everyone?
I'm speaking about the Muslims who came over, your brothers and sisters just now, you understand, who came out and made those statements. They say it because we now have strayed from the narrative that they wish to create. So their job is to come in, for somebody like myself, because I'm a big black guy, they come in and they want to get me upset. They didn't get me upset, so what happened afterwards? Well, I think the Bible tells you, speak the truth and the devil will flee from you. Do you understand? And that is exactly what happened. And so once I accept yourself, and I accept the honesty and the sincerity that you have, your ideology is very, very different to mine. Does that make me superior to you? Under no circumstances. However, your book says that Muslims are the best of people, meaning that those who are not Muslims, you've got to take the reverse position on. You understand? I don't have the ideology. So when we're talking about superiority, the Quran is very clear. My last point, Hamza,
yeah, sure.
The Quran is very clear that those who believe are superior and those who believe are not superior. So when we're speaking about people pointing their fingers and speaking about a black ideology, that's not us. You understand? That's some of the backward Muslims who are in the park.
Okay, big bro, I don't want to argue about something that doesn't need to be argued. So I'm hoping.
Well, you can't say you don't believe it should be argued, Hamza, because it's my view.
You haven't heard what I said.
Okay,
yet.
that's okay.
As in, I agree with the most of what you have said.
Okay.
I just disagree sometimes with the wording and the climate, knowing how hostile it is here.
Yes.
It never used to be like that. You as a senior, what can you do? This is what my question would be. I don't want you to answer it now, but there's a few points that I need to address.
Yes.
But you as a senior, what can you do to fix this situation so we're coming closer together? I know what I could be doing and I'm trying to do that. And I'm hoping that you partake in this as well. And I have a solution. I'm hoping that you will accept it. When we speak later, I'll offer you the solution and maybe we can come to that agreement. So the second one is you keep pointing fingers at Muslims when problems...
That's not true.
Hear me. In this conversation, that you've highlighted general problems that humanity have, but you focus on Muslims. The Kemet brothers have the same problem. You read the comments that were said against me, and the person you spoke of also said a swear word to me. I told myself, well, you know what? I'm not going to go to that level.
I was very clear that I do. Hold on, my moment, Hamza.
But you know,
I was very clear. Yeah, I know, but I want to make clear. I've told you, and I'm very clear that I don't support that.
I agree. I never.
So let me carry on. Okay.
Yeah, I never contested that. But the thing is that it's happening on both sides, and this is where we need to highlight the problem equally. Not say disproportionately Muslims are to blame. Muslims have been here for a long time.
I haven't seen any Christian attack anybody physically.
Not in a bad way. Not in a bad way. We have seen people, and I don't want to mention names, that have brought in people from outside to do things.
What was the context, though, Hamza?
I know the context. I'm more than happy to speak to you about the context if you want to.
Yes.
I'm not sure if you know the whole context.
Actually, I do, yes.
So let's speak about this.
Well, we don't want to, because that's taken up, because what we were speaking about, we're now going to be going in a direction that that's not what we were speaking about.
It's all right, it's all right.
It's just that the flow of conversation, it goes off, and when I divert to you and him, apologies.
Yeah, but it's too verbose.
We were speaking about the behaviour. We were speaking about the behaviour.
For such a long time.
We were speaking about the behaviour of some of the hooligans. Some of the hooligans who say that they're
and
Muslims.
It's on both sides, not just Muslims.
I'm speaking about today. What happened today?
Yeah, what happened today?
I was sitting down speaking to Rob. I was speaking to Rob, and it was an individual conversation with just myself and Rob. What they then did, because they work by intimidation, or they try to get you upset so they can film it and put it online so people can have a different opinion of you. You understand? And so there is a propaganda war which is taking place at the moment. Now remember, what is it, in fact, you know what, I have a point to make, but you make a point first. Yeah, you make a point first.
So there was the last thing that you mentioned about Islam has a superiority complex. You're very well versed, because as we know that you were in that community.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So you know very well that Islam says that no man has superiority over the other except in one thing.
Yes.
And what is that one thing?
Their piety.
It's piety.
Yeah.
It's like I have a mother. She bore me, she looked after me, she weaned me, she gave me an education. I give her rights to another woman, ignore my mother. What?
I didn't understand that point, sorry.
I haven't finished it. So the woman has given birth to me.
Yes.
and then I ignored her and treated her bad.
Oh, okay.
And then I've given the rights that I should have to my mother to another woman.
Yes.
Has my mother, have I done a bad thing? Of course I have. I've given to what belongs to my mother to another person, and that makes a person inferior in the sight of Allah. Allah, He had created you and I from the Muslim perspective, and we need to give taqwa, which is God consciousness, to Allah. So this is where we say that the ones who do not give the right to Allah is inferior, and you're aware of this. There are some other things, but perhaps you can expand, because you mentioned that Islam has racist context, but
that's not what I said.
No, I don't know what you said.
Can I just clarify what I said? I said to you, well, let me just clarify, and I can remember it word for word. I said to you that I am prepared. I said that I am prepared. Yeah, if you want to go there, I said I'm prepared to accept that Islam, as the ideology, is not racist. But I said that there are Muslims that are racist, and I know that because I've experienced that racism from them. They are the ones that describe themselves as Muslim, not me. And you know what? Can I just say to you?
No. You have to let me jump in.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, not in a rude way. It's just
no, go ahead.
Gish galloping when you throw everything.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. So I've also experienced the same thing. I've also online I was shocked. I thought I'd come across as I'd not try to offend no one, not swearing, but I still got slated. So does it only happen in one direction? Yeah,
that was wrong.
It happens in two directions.
Yes.
So now what is the best thing for us is to look for the way forward. How do we make some kind of unity and kind of clear this thing, this bad hostile atmosphere that we generally have in Speaker's Corner? I am willing to bring those participants who you may have an issue, not you personally.
Yes, sir.
Yeah? And sit with the opposers so we can shake hands at the end of the day.
I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that, and I will tell you the reason why. I believe that we are so far apart in terms of etiquette, manners, morality, decency, and ideology, that I believe that we are so far apart that I personally wouldn't want to sit down. I do not sit down under any circumstances with enemies of mine and people who behave, just hear me out, with enemies. I don't sit down with enemies of mine. I believe that's a false charter, and I will not sit down, and I certainly do not want to shake hands ever with enemies of mine. Of course, we can both exist at the same time in the same ether, and that's fine. But to you, your way, and to me, my way. Now, let me be very clear that this is not anti-Islam, because are you Muslim? Are you Muslim? Yes, you are. If I said to you, Hamza, let's sit down and have a discussion. Would you come?
Yes.
And I would come and sit down with you. Why would I come? Because you just explained it. I don't detect any nastiness in you. I don't detect any filth. I don't detect any disrespect. I would hope that you don't. I would hope that you don't detect that in me. So you would sit down with me, and I would sit down with you. So you would then have to ask then, well, how then am I anti-Muslim? No, I'm not, because there are Muslims that I do sit down with, but there are other Muslims. Remember, you spoke about the humanity problem. There are other Muslims that I'm not interested in sitting down with. I don't want to hear anything that they've got to say, because they believe that they can come to the table with threats and so on and so forth, and then believe that I'm going to sit down and have a discussion with them. To hell with them, under no circumstances. If decent Muslims, I had a debate with Shabir, you understand? Shabir singularly, one of the most intelligent men I've ever spoken to. You understand? And Shabir said that, in future... Shabir Yusuf.
Those videos are online, so
yes, sir.
Just in case anyone...
Yes, yeah. And Shabir said that, in future we should sit down, have debate. And I took Shabir at his word because of that eminent decency that I saw emanating from him. So I would sit down with Shabir. Why would I sit down with Shabir? Because Shabir is a decent person, and I would sit down. Him being Muslim is incidental to him being decent. You understand? But there are other people who stand on their shield, of being Muslim, and then you ask yourself, you be honest, their behavior, like the behavior that you saw today, do you understand, in the park, what did you think of that behavior? And ask yourself whether or not that behavior was deliberate. Sometimes when people behave like that, You've got to treat them like the children that they are and say things to them, because they're trying to throw you off balance and throw it back at them. Number one, I don't have no fear of anything to say. You lot are some little man them. Do you understand? I'm not talking about little physically, I'm talking about little metaphorically and intellectually. I don't have anything to say to you. And this is the reason why you ran from me. I'd expect my 11-year-old daughter to use that language. Oh, Daddy, I wanted to speak to you and you ran away from me. No, I ran away from you because you're an idiot.
So
yeah, and I've got no. Give me a second. Let me tell you how you make things better. I was very clear that, including you, there are other Muslims down here who are being drowned out, by what I call the thug element of those who say that they follow the Sunnah of Rasulullah. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. These people have this, as far as I'm concerned, destroyed or are attempting to destroy the Muslim Ummah. That is my earnest belief. This is my earnest belief, because let me tell you, even though you say that many people attack Muslims, let's be honest, there are many people here, and if you ask these people, if they're being truthful, this is just my perception, if you ask these people, all right guys, have you met Muslims before? Generally speaking, and they'll say yes. And what do you think of the Muslims that you've met, who you've met individually? There are very few people here who would say that they're terrible people, they're nasty people, they're evil people. There are very few people who would say that. So what is it then between those people who come over in a decent, ethical, well-mannered way, and then you then have I call it the if you look at the IRA analogy, you understand, you have provisional Sinn Féin, which is the military wing, you understand, this is a military wing, you understand, and then you have the political wing, you understand. I believe that many of these guys down here, the way in which they proselytize, the way in which they so-called give dawah, you understand, they use intimidation, yeah, in order to make their point. Most human beings. So what would your advice be? Sorry, my advice, I'm going to tell you now. I'm a person that. I'm going to tell you now. I'm a person that likes to mend things and look forward. So should all human beings.
Yeah. So what? Let's not just get caught the problems. Let's look at the solution.
I'm going to tell you what the solution is.
Yes.
The solution and the truth is that there are certain things that cannot be fixed. Yeah, it's impractical to fix it. But what you can do, you can then say that, look, what I'm going to do, because I realize that my presence causes people to be triggered, what I will then do, I will then say that if you are speaking over here, what I won't do is go anywhere near you. And if I'm over there, you don't come anywhere near me, because clearly you have a perception of me. I say that some of them have a real problem with black people, A, speaking English, B, having a cogent argument, and C, who does not follow the narrative and the stereotypes that these people expect us to. They expect us to fight, they expect us to be violent, they expect us to war. You understand? There is a very real reason, yeah, for those people down here who know me, there's a very real reason why I never come down to the park with more than one person. And shall I tell you the reason why? They know my background. They know that there's a great many people who are around me. But I know that if I came to the park with 20 or 30 people who I know want to listen to me and are close to me, they'll say, look at him, he's a big black guy and he's trying to intimidate people. And so I deliberately do not. Sometimes when I'm leaving the park, down at the end, I'll have a couple of people, whether it's one of my brothers or staff, and I'll say, come and pick me up at the gate there when I'm walking. This is what I do, because I try very hard not to be offensive. But what I'm not going to do, and I promise my last point, Hamza, I am not going to seek to make amends, yeah, with people, you understand, who are racist towards me, because I've had that racism all my life. I'm not going to have, I don't want to have any kind of make up with people who are disrespectful towards me, because I'm not disrespectful towards them. You understand? In the first instance, their problem is that they want to label me. So they said, you're a Kemet. Actually, no, I'm not. You understand? You believe in black supremacy. I made very clear, I don't believe anybody is superior over anybody else. Do you understand? So where do you then go? Well, you're a bully. Well, that must fit your narrative because I'm big and black. So then, how does that work? Because you see, if you're black and you're in Islam, and you're listening to this, and you're listening to the abuse that I'm getting, and the abuse that you said you've seen online, which is racist and which is disrespectful. How do you then, as a black Muslim, square that up? Just think about it for a second. That other Muslims, the other Muslims are referring to me as a monkey, as a nigger.
Is this online?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Yes, sir. Yeah, it's all over. Yeah, they don't. And well, you know the great thing about the computer, you can screen snap it.
But you know what happens to me. What
I'm saying to you, I don't agree with it. Hold on, I'm not about transcending anything. We always talk about transcending. I'm saying to you that I don't agree with racist abuse towards you. Not because you're a nice guy and I happen to like you. Yeah, I know that. No, but some people will disagree. I'm saying, no, but
this is what I'm saying.
I'm telling you, but it is the very few. Hamza, because I've got something to say. It's the very few.
No, excuse me, man.
No, it's okay. He always comes and stand between me because he's my uncle.
I am Muslim.
Yes, all right. He's Muslim. He says
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. How old you got? Allahu Akbar.
Some of the real reasons for the problem is that some
I understand. I didn't hear what you said, sir.
Don't you think some of the real problems that there are some black Muslims are propagating?
Propagating what?
No, he's trying to get this into a different topic. He's trying to make
Actually,
it.
I think it's a good point, but
but there are some black Muslims that will be more Muslim than black.
Sir,
yes.
Oh yes. Do you believe that they're propagating the racism?
And not only that, they will seek to harm you, who looks like them, for their masters in a second.
Oh yeah.
Because
see now what's happened now? What's happened now? Big bro, now you shut me out of the conversation.
No, I'm not.
Hear me what's happened now. Because what he's trying to do here is equivocate Islam.
The black population. Don't you believe that the black population have a predilection to
different
these
discussion completely? And you need someone because what's big bro? I gave you the answer.
He is right. Let him just make his point.
No,
please,
but I'm also a black man that's gone through this.
Yes, sir.
Come from the Caribbean, and some of the problems is that the black population have a predilection for these monotheistic Abrahamic.
Talking about structural racism.
Abraham.
Yeah, can I explain something about the structural racism?
Can I
explain
It's a
something?
19th century invention as well.
Okay, great. You know,
But the
are we talking about structural? Are we talking about structural racism?
Islam's anti-black stance has been going on for 500 years.
What's your name?
For thousands of years.
Name?
David.
Okay. Are we talking about structural racism?
The structural racism is a 19th century invention after the end of enslavement. So that's a 19th century thing. But the anti-black aspects
What are we
of
talking
Islam.
about, I'm saying, Dave? What do you want to discuss?
What the gentleman is
That does not exist.
No,
Yes, it does exist.
what's happening in this park? There are a minority from both sides. I'm seeing it with two eyes and trying to be just. There's problem here and there's problem there. I tell the people on this side,
why do you have to
yourself.
apologize
The people,
on behalf of
the people also on this side need to be aware that they're doing a problem as well,
like
and we need to be
going to
just.
this man and telling him
We need to be just.
responsible
I know it's
for
difficult
somebody
to
else's
sit down with people who are cursing you. I'm still willing to do that. Big Bro has taken the decision not to do that, and he is entitled to do that. But I do not think that will ever come to a conclusion if we don't sit with those who we dislike. This is the difference between me and Big Bro. I'm willing to hear, I'm willing to hear his grievances because the grievances are real. And I hope I've given the respect to Big Bro that he requires. And I hope he realizes that I've heard everything that he said and I've agreed with most things he's said. But I know that racism occurs on many levels, even if you consider it a case of privilege. You, in certain instances, are more privileged than me. Yes, you are. For example, do you think you, as someone in Africa, are the same? No. Your British passport gets you privileges way beyond your imagination. Way beyond. You being from a land which is a dominion, which was previously a colonial part of the empire, and then became a dominion. You have more privilege. You have more privilege than the other countries. So So you have privilege and you enjoy privilege, but you don't see it. Every single.
Don't waste your time like with shaitan. Don't waste your time like with the shaitan.
Take it easy, man. Why? See, that kind of language. That kind of language. You know, a black Muslim attacking another black person because that just proves the point.
It's high. And if you do,
that's what Islam has done to black people against each other.
What's happened now? Yeah. What's happened now? Yeah. I counteracted negative energy with being polite, and it's always worked for me. So why can't we start doing that ourselves for everything? Yeah. Like for example,
There are false dichotomies.
Would you like to preach to the offenders, though? You're speaking to him. Why don't you go and preach to the? Sorry, go and speak.
Okay, would you like to preach to your offenders as well?
Yeah, I would.
No, I want to see it. See, this is what I mean. We need to have equality. I'm willing to preach to those guys. Are you willing to preach to the other guys who bring people to fight here? No. Have you done so?
Yep.
Have you done so?
Sorry?
Have you done so?
Sorry, what you said again?
I think when he made that statement before, Big Brother was minding with context.
That's right. No, he doesn't believe. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Oh, you see, he doesn't believe. You not ask me about it. You not ask me about it. And this is what I mean. That people don't listen to each other. I'm willing to speak to them.
See,
and
you know what?
And the thing is,
I stood here for 45 minutes. You're proselyting. I haven't even got a word in yet.
Because I'm speaking to him.
Yeah, listen to me for 1 minute. Okay? Listen to me for 1 minute.
You understand? Almost drop down dead.
There is a subset of thugs that come to Speaker's Corner to harass people.
Are you saying they're just Muslims?
No, wait a minute. They've attacked.
Are they just Muslims?
Hang on.
They're just Muslims.
You keep interjecting me.
This is the problem.
You see, I can't even get my point. Look, is your problem? I haven't finished there. 3 words. You can't be done. Listen, they've attacked moderate Muslims.
How was it then?
Who has?
Say that they're Muslims.
A lot of.
Don't make things up.
Look, I'll tell you what.
Moderate Muslims have been attacked.
This fella here was almost beaten up 2 weeks ago.
Look at it. See, the guy says, this is what I mean. Sorry. This is exactly what I mean. It goes beyond exaggeration into lies. And this is...
No, he wasn't beat up. I'm exaggerating.
No, you're exaggerating.
But something did happen.
We had a discussion. Speak the truth, otherwise things.
But
speak the truth. Be just, my friend. Be just.
Look, remember when they came up to you and they asked you what is your religion? And you refused to answer.
Then the thing was spoken so long, and we need to sit down and maybe beyond cameras and then pass it to you.
With you.
Yeah. But there's more meaning to it. You know, sometimes we have to tackle obstacles. Sometimes, as cheesy as it sounds, with love. Sometimes we have to. You've come, look, for example, you can walk around with a chip on your shoulder talking about oppression from imperialism and racism and this and that. But you can't, because it destroys and consumes yourself, and you know that. I can also do this. I get stopped all the time. I can't carry a bag. I can't have an earphone. I know where you're coming from, but from a different angle. And I agree with you, bro. And you're older and senior, and you need to speak to everyone. I'm willing to speak to everyone, big bro.
You made the fatal mistake. Sorry, Hamza. You made the fatal mistake. You made the fatal mistake of believing that we don't speak to each other.
No, even those who you dislike. You know, previously you said you refused.
No, I refuse. I refuse based on my experience of them. Not on me saying that there are people that I don't want to speak to. It's based on my experience of them. And I'm saying that as human beings, we have to be clever. We have to be clever. You do not put yourself in the company of people who do not wish you well. You do not put yourself, you can be in the company of people whose ideologies are opposed, because if you do that, then you can sit down and have a genuine discussion. You can have a genuine discussion, and there is nothing wrong with that. But as I'm saying to you, where I come from, you do not get to eat at the table because you believe that you're going to badman your way into that. Do you understand? I don't agree with that. So I have to be very careful that I do not have certain people who are around me who do not wish me well. There are enough Muslims, there are enough good Muslims, as far as I'm concerned, that I can be getting on with, having decent conversations.
You know what, big brother, you know what, unfortunately this thing is crowded, and we also have cameras. We can't have a real genuine discussion. I think this has been a lovely genuine discussion. but a more meaningful one.
Yeah.
I honestly think, all of us at one time have been oppressed, but we cannot walk with chips on the shoulders. We can't keep on singing the blues every Sunday. I think we need to transcend all of this and be magnanimous ourselves. Hear me one second.
Yes, sir.
I know your tongue is tickling, but if we look, if we keep telling ourselves and singing these blues every flipping Sunday, we are oppressed, and we all were or are oppressed. But what we need to be focusing on is ourselves and our children. How to be a man, how to get a job, how to get education, how to look after your family. Stop singing the blues. I know it's hard. Allah says in the Quran it's hard. For surety we should test you with some of fear, hunger, loss of life, wealth and fruits. But the best of you are those who are patient. Allah, He says that we have not given, we should not try a soul beyond its scope. Allah, whenever He gives you, and you've heard these verses before, whenever He gives you a problem, He's made sure your shoulders are broad enough to shoulder the problem. And this is it. We need to look towards the solution. Sometimes it needs to be beyond me and you. I really appreciate it.
Let me just make this one last point before you go, Hamza. You're making certain assumptions which are not correct. Because it's going to be a positive. It's going to be a positive because you're speaking about this proverbial chip on the shoulder and speaking about singing the blues. It only becomes singing the blues if it's not true. You understand? If it was a case that racism had an end date, then you would be saying would have more validity. But it's not. It's a reoccurring theme. It's not a reoccurring theme for me. It's a reoccurring theme within the social context and within governmental, because they're still trying to look at solutions to what these problems are. But be very clear, Hamza, I was not speaking about that in the beginning. What I was speaking about was the behavior. What I was speaking about was the behavior of a very small group of Muslims at Hyde Park who seem to have a problem with dark-skinned black men who do not fit their narrative. Just one moment. That is exactly what I'm speaking about. Now, if it was a thing, just hold on. I'm going to show you the positivity in this. If it was a thing that it just happened to Sarah, you'd say, oh, okay. But it's happened to Gary, who was a monkey, and then the Muslims apologise. They're very fond of apologising for other people on the basis that they pluralise the term Muslim, so they speak as one body. It happened to Ty, the disrespect on there. It happened to Kalam. You understand? Kalam is a racist because Kalam has a particular view. There are other people in here that is, just hear me a second, I'm just saying to you that after a while, and this is positive because if what I'm saying is truthful, then in the truth there is always positivity. There is a clear modus operandi or mode of operation that is happening whereby they wish to shut down the voices of dark-skinned black men, and the only time they are happy to hear dark-skinned black men is if they proselytize on behalf of Muhammad alayhi salam. And that, in my opinion, cannot be right, because I'm going to tell you, the last thing is this. If we cannot sit down, if we cannot converse in a decent manner, and I've made clear that there are certain people that I would never sit down with based on my experience of them. I wouldn't sit down with them. But if this becomes a universal problem, then what's going to happen is that there is going to be a clash. The clash will not benefit you, and the clash will not benefit me. But I can tell you who it will benefit. It will benefit the ignoramuses who believe that their way into paradise is to act a fool because they believe that the God that they believe in is as stupid as they are. That's positivity.
That's not. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah. It's perception, no. It's subjective.
I'm sorry, sir. We need positive uplifting. 1 second.
That is positive.
1 second.
Yes.
Big bro. We really need that this time. And this is why I'm disappointed at some of the elders. Forgive me my language. Yes, I think we have such a stronger voice, and we're not voicing ourselves properly. Honestly, I love your passion, the way you speak. I love that. I love the way Ty speaks. But he's not addressing things which are real for the people. That they have problems in the education. the few people that are problematic in Speaker's Corner, we all agree upon. But when are we going to do something to uplift ourselves? When I say,
if you go online, you'll see that I did a video down here. I'm just going to tell you, Hamza, and what we were speaking about was politics, was the way in which the financial system seems to be very adept at keeping us all in a particular position. We spoke nothing about Islam whatsoever. Guess what happened?
You're going to tell another negative. The thing, if I throw,
10 seconds. Guess what happened?
If I throw all the bad stories about certain groups,
guess what happened? I'm right in front of you, so you can answer.
Can I guess?
Can I just?
A Muslim jumped in and destroyed the whole thing.
No, that's not what happened. What happened is they went from wherever they were and spoke about us when we were only speaking about politics. Islam wasn't touched at all, and they came into the room. I challenge you to go on and find it. Am I joking? And go on and find out what they said. And all we were speaking about was politics, was housing, the way in which this system seems to be very adept at keeping people apart, and keeping us at each other's throats, and the reason they do that is to ensure that they can continue doing what they've always done, which is rule, whilst everybody else is at their throats.
So are you saying this is exceptional to Muslims? This is what I want to make clear.
What do you mean?
I reckon there's a big problem in wider societies, because Muslim isn't one monolithic group.
Yes.
Yeah, I believe everyone of every persuasion, apart from black, has some kind of racism or prejudice because it's been mediated into us against black people, and it's true, isn't it? We need to overlook that. Problem is sometimes, you're fighting with some people who are trying to be your brothers. I realize, yes.
My brothers?
No, I'm talking about. As in, it's like we're on the same pain, we're on the same level. I acknowledge that, I see that, but it's not something unique to Muslims. And I've heard some people try to argue from Islam. You know, Muhammad was a white man, this and that. Patently false. And I have the, if anyone wants to discuss it.
Particular hadiths.
Yeah, we can speak about them. But let's stop this discussion for now, have a break here and then walk about.
No problem.
But I honestly urge you in reconciliation. I honestly urge you. And this is me giving my effort.
On the surface,
and you
it
as
seems
an elder,
like a good idea.
You as an elder, you have to submit to the people if you will or won't. You as your elder. And this is my submission that I will, as someone who is younger, and I look up to you, big bro. Take care.
Nice speaking to you, brother Hamza.